In the Hebrew Bible, Mizraim stands as the second son of Ham, grandson of Noah, a name that echoes through history as the very word for Egypt. While the stories of Semitic and Japhethic peoples are often retold, the Hamitic legacy, embodied by Mizraim, remains in the shadows. Yet, Egypt's African roots and its profound influence shaped the ancient world and the course of civilization. The story of Mizraim is not just about a single lineage, but about a civilization whose wisdom, artistry, and power radiated across continents. To reclaim this narrative is to recognize Egypt as a cradle of African achievement, whose legacy endures in every corner of the Mediterranean. Ancient papyri and hieroglyphs bear witness to a people whose innovations in writing, governance, and spirituality inspired generations far beyond the Nile. As we begin this journey, we seek to illuminate the underexplored Hamitic legacy, restoring Egypt's African identity and its rightful place at the heart of world heritage. The very name Mizraim is a dual form in Hebrew, hinting at the unity and complexity of Upper and Lower Egypt, lands of the Nile's two crowns. His sons represent not only these regions, but also the far-reaching diaspora that carried Egyptian influence into Libya, Crete, and the wider Mediterranean. This duality reflects Egypt's role as a bridge between Africa and the ancient world, a civilization whose reach and diversity shaped the destiny of nations. The story of Mizraim's descendants is a story of movement, adaptation, and enduring influence, woven into the very fabric of Mediterranean history. According to Genesis, Mizraim's sons, Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, and Caphtorim, became ancestors of diverse peoples. Caphtorim are linked to Crete and the Aegean, while Casluhim are associated with the Philistines. Their migrations created zones of interaction and cultural exchange, especially during the upheavals of the Bronze Age collapse. These ancient journeys forged connections between Africa, the Levant, and Europe, setting the stage for centuries of cultural fusion and transformation. The sons of Mizraim are not just names in a genealogy. They represent the diversity and reach of Egypt's people, whose stories are woven into the fabric of ancient history. Their migrations brought them into contact with the Aegean, the Levant, and beyond, shaping the course of Mediterranean civilization. Through their journeys, Egypt's influence became a living thread connecting distant lands and peoples. Artifacts and monuments across the Mediterranean bear silent witness to this enduring legacy. The story of Mizraim's descendants is a testament to the power of migration, adaptation, and cultural exchange. Notably, the Philistines are said to descend from both Casluhim and Caphtorim, suggesting a migratory or hybrid origin. As part of the Sea Peoples, they played a pivotal role in the Bronze Age collapse, clashing with and blending into Mediterranean cultures, a testament to the dynamic movement and fusion of peoples in the ancient world. The Philistines' story is one of encounter and transformation, reflecting the broader patterns of exchange that defined the ancient Mediterranean. The descendants of Mizraim laid the foundations of Egyptian civilization, shaping its culture, language, and legacy. Egypt's story is central to biblical and world history, serving as a symbol of temptation, refuge, and judgment, and as a source of inspiration for Greece, Rome, and the Renaissance. From the earliest dynasties to the echoes of Egypt in Western thought, the Hamitic legacy endures, inviting us to look deeper and reclaim its place in our shared story. The wisdom and achievements of Egypt's people continue to inspire, reminding us of Africa's foundational role in world civilization. To understand Mizraim is to understand the roots of our own history, woven from many threads, yet united in the enduring legacy of Egypt. To reclaim the story of Mizraim is to restore Egypt's place as a unified Hamitic African civilization, a superpower whose achievements in architecture, governance, and spirituality shaped the world. This documentary traces the diaspora of Mizraim's descendants, especially Caphtorim and Casluhim, and their lasting imprint on the Mediterranean and Europe. Afrocentric scholars like Cheikh Anta Diop remind us that Egypt's African identity is vital to world heritage, echoing through the ages and shaping Western civilization. As we embark on this journey, we invite you to rediscover the Hamitic legacy, an essential chapter in the story of humanity. The time has come to reclaim Egypt's African heritage and recognize its enduring influence on the world. This is the story of Mizraim, of Egypt, of a legacy that shaped civilizations and continues to inspire us today. Let us begin. The 10th chapter of Genesis, known as the Table of Nations, traces the descendants of Noah's sons. Mizraim, son of Ham, stands out as the ancestor of Egypt and several influential tribes. This genealogy is not just a list, it is a map of peoples who shaped the ancient world. Mizraim's sons, Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, and Caphtorim, became the forebears of real peoples. Ludim are linked to Libya, Caphtorim to Crete, and Casluhim to the Philistines. Their names echo across North Africa and the Mediterranean. These are not mythical names. Archaeological finds, pottery, inscriptions, and ruins confirm the presence of these groups. Linguistic evidence ties them to the lands they settled, from the Nile Delta to the Aegean Islands. The Lehabim are widely identified with the Libyans, peoples west of the Nile Delta, whose culture and influence reach deep into North Africa. Pathrusim are connected to Pathros, Upper Egypt, representing the southern heartland of Egyptian civilization, rich in temples and tradition. The descendants of Mizraim were dynamic and migratory. They moved beyond Africa, into the Levant, the Aegean, and across the Mediterranean, carrying Egyptian influence far and wide, shaping the course of ancient history. In the twilight of the Bronze Age, the eastern Mediterranean was plunged into chaos. Egyptian inscriptions at Medinet Habu, carved under Ramesses III, tell of a cataclysmic invasion. The Sea Peoples, a confederation of warriors from distant shores, swept across the region. Among them, the Peliset, now known as the Philistines, emerged as formidable adversaries. These records, etched around 1175 BCE, capture the drama of fleets and armies clashing, cities burning, and the old order crumbling as waves of migrants and conquerors reshaped the world. The Sea People's onslaught was not a single event, but a series of relentless assaults. Animated battle maps reveal their roots, striking Ugarit, Hattusa, Cyprus, Mycenaean Greece, and Egypt itself. As city after city fell, the Philistines and their allies settled along the Levantine coast, their arrival marking the end of the Bronze Age and the birth of new Iron Age cultures. The Mediterranean was forever changed, its shores now home to a mosaic of peoples and traditions. Archaeological discoveries in Philistine cities, Ashkelon, Ekron, and beyond, uncover Aegean-style pottery, architecture, and burial customs. These artifacts are silent witnesses to a migratory origin from the Aegean or Anatolia, and to the cultural transformation that swept Canaan after the collapse. The Philistines, descendants of Mizraim, brought with them new traditions, technologies, and beliefs, blending with local cultures to forge a dynamic new society. Yet the collapse was not wrought by invasion alone. Climate change, drought, famine, earthquakes, and internal strife all conspired to unravel ancient societies. The Sea Peoples were both a cause and a symptom, migrants fleeing disaster, but also warriors who hastened the fall of empires through battle and resettlement. The world they entered was one of uncertainty, but also of opportunity for those who could adapt. In this crucible of upheaval, the Philistines, rooted in the lineage of Mizraim, became agents of change. Their settlement in Canaan marked a turning point. The old powers faded, and new societies rose from the ashes. The Mediterranean's cultural and political landscape was forever altered, as the descendants of Mizraim left their indelible mark on history. The biblical account links the Philistines to Casluhim, a son of Mizraim, suggesting a Hamitic origin for a people pivotal in reshaping the ancient world. Through war, migration, and cultural fusion, the descendants of Mizraim, especially the Philistines, bridged Africa, the Aegean, and the Levant, forging connections that would echo through the ages. The story of the Sea Peoples and the Philistines is not just one of destruction, but of renewal. Out of the ruins of the Bronze Age, new civilizations emerged, shaped by the migrations, innovations, and resilience of Mizraim's descendants. Their legacy endures in the art, language, and spirit of the Mediterranean world. For millennia, Egypt stood as a beacon of knowledge, art, and spirituality, its temples and libraries radiating wisdom across the Mediterranean. From the banks of the Nile to the heart of Athens, Egyptian priests, architects, and scholars inspired Greek thinkers, laying the foundations for Western philosophy, science, and religion. The African roots of this legacy are woven into the very fabric of European civilization. In the city of Naucratis, Greeks and Egyptians met in bustling markets and sacred halls, exchanging ideas in mathematics, astronomy, and the mysteries of the cosmos. Greek philosophers like Thales and Pythagoras learned from Egyptian priests, absorbing African knowledge that would shape the course of European thought. Naucratis became a living symbol of cultural fusion and intellectual exchange. The Caphtorim, descendants of Mizraim, carried Egyptian traditions into the Aegean, influencing the rise of the Minoans and Mycenaeans. Through trade, migration, and intermarriage, African artistic motifs and religious practices spread across the Mediterranean, seeding new civilizations and forging a shared heritage between Africa and Europe. Egyptian religion found new life in Greece. The cult of Isis flourished, and the creation of Serapis, a deity blending Greek and Egyptian beliefs, became a powerful symbol of syncretism. From Alexandria to Athens, these faiths united African and European traditions, inspiring art, ritual, and philosophy throughout the ancient world. Greek thinkers, Herodotus, Plato, and others, openly acknowledged their debt to Egypt, describing it as the wellspring of wisdom and sacred knowledge. African philosophy and science became the bedrock of Greek education, echoing through the ages in European art, literature, and belief. The embrace of the Nile was warm and far-reaching, its legacy woven into the soul of European culture. From temples and libraries to art and faith, the enduring power of cultural fusion between Africa and Europe is a testament to the brilliance and resilience of Egypt's sons and daughters. In western Anatolia, the ancient kingdom of Lydia rose at the crossroads of continents. Here, ancient genealogies mention both Lud, son of Shem, and Ludum, sons of Mizraim, one Semitic, one Hamitic, reflecting a land shaped by dual heritage. Lydia's wealth, metallurgy, and invention of coinage were born from centuries of migration, exchange, and the blending of peoples. In this region, boundaries were fluid, and brotherhood was forged through intermarriage and shared destiny. In Sardis, Lydia's cosmopolitan capital, Semitic and Hamitic peoples mingled, exchanged ideas, and forged new identities. The Ludum, linked to North Africa, may have reached Anatolia through trade and intermarriage, while Lud's descendants arrived from the east. Lydia's story is a tapestry woven from many threads, each strand a testament to the power of connection. Scholars debate whether the names Lud and Ludum became intertwined, mirroring the migrations and mingling of peoples across the Mediterranean and Near East. Trade routes from Lydia linked Africa, the Levant, and the Aegean, making it a true crossroads of civilizations, where brotherhood was not just an idea, but a lived reality. In Lydia's valleys and cities, Greek, Persian, Egyptian, and Libyan influences converged. Artistic motifs from Sardis blend Egyptian lotus flowers, Semitic symbols, and local deities, evidence of vibrant cultural synthesis and the brotherhood of nations. The Lydians, renowned for inventing coinage, may have drawn on Egyptian metallurgical skills and Semitic mercantile practices. Through trade and intermarriage, Lydia became a living bridge, its people embodying the spirit of convergence and adaptation. In this melting pot, the legacy of Mizraim lived on in new forms, echoing in language, art, and spiritual life, and shaping the destiny of Anatolia and the Aegean. Biblical genealogies are not rigid boundaries, but starting points for understanding the brotherhood and shared heritage of ancient peoples. Lydia stands as a bridge between Africa and Europe, a living testament to the interconnectedness of the ancient world. The sons of Mizraim helped shape both East and West, reminding us that the lines between peoples were always more porous than we imagine, and that the story of civilization is one of shared roots and enduring brotherhood. During the New Kingdom, Egypt's pharaohs, Thutmose III, Amenhotep II, and Rameses II, transformed their African realm into a military superpower. Their armies surged beyond the Nile, launching bold campaigns into Canaan, Syria, and Anatolia. Animated battle scenes trace legendary clashes, the Siege of Megiddo, the March to Kadesh, and the epic confrontation with the Hittites. Chariots thundered across foreign plains, and the Battle of Kadesh became a symbol of African ambition and strategy, one of the largest chariot battles in history, echoing Egypt's reach and innovation. Egypt's power extended far beyond land. Along the Levantine coast, in Cyprus, and across the Aegean, Egyptian fleets confronted the Sea Peoples, especially the Peliset, later known as the Philistines. Reliefs at Medinet Habu vividly depict these naval battles. High, proud ships, archers, and marines clashing with invading coalitions. Animated overlays show Egyptian ships defending their frontiers, projecting African power into the Mediterranean, and reaching the shores of Crete and Anatolia. These encounters reveal Egypt's mastery of both land and sea, shaping the fate of the ancient world. Yet Egypt's influence reached far beyond the battlefield. Temples, cult statues, and the mysteries of Isis, Osiris, and Serapis spread into Greece and Rome. Egyptian cosmology and monumental architecture inspired Greek philosophers and builders. In Alexandria, a city founded by Alexander but shaped by African traditions, the Great Library became a beacon of learning. Here, Greek and Egyptian scholars studied side by side, blending African wisdom with Mediterranean thought and laying the foundations of Western civilization. Afrocentric scholars like Cheikh Anta Diop remind us that Egypt's Hamitic African identity is central to world heritage. The pharaoh's campaigns and Egypt's cultural gifts laid the groundwork for African presence and influence in Europe through military engagement, diaspora, and the transmission of knowledge and spirituality. Egypt's foundational role in shaping Mediterranean and European culture has often been understated, but its legacy endures in art, philosophy, and the very fabric of Western civilization. From the thunder of chariots to the wisdom of Alexandria, Egypt's reach shaped the destiny of the Mediterranean and Europe. The legacy of Mizraim is not only one of conquest, but of enduring connection, military, cultural, and intellectual, between Africa and the wider world. Today, as we trace Egypt's military and cultural expansion, we reclaim the Hamitic legacy as a vital part of European and world civilization, a story of resilience, innovation, and shared heritage. The legacy of Mizraim, progenitor of Egypt, is woven into the very fabric of Europe. From the courts of Al-Andalus to the palaces of Florence, the influence of Mizraim's descendants, Moors, Berbers, and Africans, shaped the continent's art, science, and governance. Their arrival brought a vibrant blend of Egyptian, Kushite, and Maghrebi culture, forever enriching Europe's intellectual and architectural foundations. In these centers of learning and power, Egyptian scholars and artisans contributed to medicine, astronomy, and poetry. Intermarriage and cultural exchange produced lineages of African ancestry within European aristocracy, making the story of Europe inseparable from the story of Africa. Across medieval Europe, Egyptians and their descendants were present as both slaves and scholars, artisans and advisors. The Roman conquest of Egypt brought Africans into Europe as citizens and servants, some rising to prominence as merchants, counselors, and even nobles, each thread adding to the continent's diverse tapestry. Moorish courts, especially in Al-Andalus, drew deeply from Egypt's ancient legacy and Islamic scholarship. Here, the spectrum of Mizraim's legacy, palaces, scholars, warriors, and everyday life, reflects a story of adaptation, resilience, and enduring connection. The legacy of Mizraim is also seen in the lives of Black and mixed-race nobles across Europe. Figures like Alessandro de' Medici, Saint Maurice, Sir Maurian, and John Blanc challenge old assumptions and illuminate a rich, multicultural heritage born of intermarriage and cultural exchange. Archaeological discoveries, such as the ivory bangle lady in Roman Britain, reveal the presence and status of Africans in ancient and medieval societies. The Moors, as heirs to a Mediterranean African tradition, fostered brotherhood and integration with European nobility, leaving a legacy of unity and shared achievement. These stories, often forgotten or erased, remind us that the roots of European civilization are entwined with African heritage. In art, faith, bloodlines, and the enduring presence of Mizraim's descendants, we see a legacy of resilience and transformation. The spectrum of experience, servitude, scholarship, nobility, and rule supports the Black presence in Europe through biblical genealogy, migration, and cultural exchange. This legacy illuminates a story of adaptation and enduring strength. The enduring impact of Mizraim's legacy is seen in the faces and stories of those who shaped Europe's destiny, from the courts of Florence and Britain to the legends of knights and saints. Their stories are a testament to the power of cultural exchange and resilience. The original Hamitic hypothesis once recognized Africans as founders of civilization and bearers of knowledge. Though later distorted and suppressed, the cycles of dominance and servitude, Egyptians as both slaves and leaders, reflect the adaptability and perseverance of Mizraim's descendants. From the Roman Empire to medieval Europe, Africans navigated shifting roles, sometimes enslaved, sometimes rising to positions of influence and power. Their adaptability and contributions are woven into the very fabric of European history. The cycles of power and servitude, of erasure and remembrance reveal the enduring strength of Mizraim's legacy, a story of survival, transformation, and cultural fusion that continues to shape our world. Today, as we rediscover these stories, we reclaim the Hamitic legacy as a vital part of world heritage, echoing through the ages and inspiring new generations to honor the shared roots of humanity. The story of Mizraim reveals a powerful truth. Europe was shaped by a constant flow of peoples, ideas, and genes from Africa. The roots of European civilization are entwined with African heritage, visible in art, faith, bloodlines, and the enduring presence of Mizraim's descendants as slaves, nobles, scholars, and rulers. The legacy of Mizraim is one of profound and continuous cultural fusion. It demolishes the myth of a racially pure or isolated Europe and calls us to reclaim the Hamitic legacy as a story of shared humanity, resilience, and enduring connection. From Moorish palaces to the courts of Europe, the spectrum of experience, servitude, scholarship, nobility, and rule supports the Black presence in Europe through biblical genealogy, migration, and cultural exchange. From the builders of palaces to the thinkers and warriors who shaped history, Egypt's sons, descendants of Mizraim, left an indelible mark on Europe's destiny, in ways often forgotten or erased. Their legacy is a testament to the enduring power of cultural exchange, adaptation, and resilience, a story that continues to inspire and unite across continents and centuries. The Hamitic legacy, rooted in Mizraim, is a living thread in the tapestry of Europe, calling us to remember, honor, and celebrate our shared human story. By tracing Mizraim's diaspora through cycles of migration, intermarriage, and cultural achievement, we rediscover a history of African agency that redefines our understanding of Europe's ancient and medieval roots and reclaims Egypt's role as a Hamitic African civilization with global impact. The story of Mizraim in Europe is one of resilience and adaptation, of builders, thinkers, warriors, and visionaries, whose presence shaped the destiny of a continent. Their legacy endures in the faces, names, and cultures of Europe today, calling us to reclaim and celebrate this shared heritage.